Welcome to another exciting video where today we are diving deep into the fascinating world of rare coins, and this time it's all about the incredible 1988 D. Roosevelt dime, a coin that has taken the attention of collectors and treasure hunters around the globe because of its unbelievable value, with some examples reported to be worth as much as $120 million, which is simply mind-blowing when you consider its humble face value of just 10 cents, and in this video we are going to explore every possible reason why this particular coin is so valuable, the errors, the mint mistakes, the historical background, the collector demand, and the sheer rarity that makes this one of the most sought-after pieces in numismatic history. So stay tuned as we go on a journey that will change the way you look at the change in your pocket forever, because what looks like an ordinary dime could in fact be the key to a life-changing discovery. Now let's start by talking about the design of the 1988 D dime, because understanding its details is the first step in identifying a potential rarity. The obverse side of the coin features the iconic profile of President Franklin D. Roosevelt, who has been the face of the dime since 1946, when the series was first introduced to honor his legacy and his leadership through the Great Depression and World War II. And above his head you'll find the word Liberty, to the left you'll see the motto "In God We Trust," and just below his neck near the rim is the date 1988 with the D mint mark, which tells us that this particular coin was minted in Denver. Now, while millions upon millions of these dimes were struck in Denver in 1988, the coin we are talking about today is anything but ordinary because of the presence of dramatic minting errors that make it worth an astronomical amount of money to the right buyer. And that is exactly why collectors are always on the lookout for dimes from this year and mint, because one small mistake during production can make the difference between a coin worth 10 cents and a coin worth millions of dollars. So let's go deeper into the kinds of errors that can occur. You have things like double die obverse, where the design elements such as the word Liberty or the date appear double due to a misalignment during the hubbing process. You also have off-center strikes, where the coin's design is not properly centered and part of the image is missing, which can make for a visually stunning and highly collectible piece. And then there are die cracks, where the die used to strike the coin develops small fractures that transfer to the coin's surface, creating raised lines or cuts that are completely unique. And don't forget the possibility of wrong planchet errors, where the dime might have been struck on a blank meant for another denomination like a cent or a foreign coin, which dramatically increases its rarity. All of these factors combine to make certain 1988 D dimes extraordinary. But what makes the $120 million example so special is the combination of errors and the condition it is found in, because condition plays a huge role in coin collecting. A coin that is in mint state, meaning it has never been in circulation and retains all its original luster, is always worth more than a worn coin. And when you pair that with a rare error, you have the perfect storm for a multi-million-dollar valuation. Now let's take a step back and think about the sheer improbability of such a coin existing. Every year the US Mint produces billions of coins with incredible precision, and catching an error like this is extremely rare, but that is what excites collectors. The idea that somewhere out there in circulation or sitting forgotten in a jar of change is a tiny piece of metal that could transform someone's life overnight, and that is why so many people have turned to coin roll hunting and searching through their loose change. Because as crazy as it sounds, discoveries like this do happen. Now let's talk about why the demand is so high. You see, the numismatic market is driven by rarity and demand, and when a coin becomes famous for its errors, the demand skyrockets because every serious collector wants to have one in their collection, and this pushes prices higher and higher, sometimes into the millions. And in the case of the 1988 D dime we are talking about, the reported $120 million value is not just because of its metal content, but because of its story, its rarity, and its desirability among wealthy collectors who are willing to pay anything to own a one-of-a-kind piece of American history. And this is not just about money, it's also about the thrill of the hunt, the pride of owning something that almost no one else in the world has, the idea that you are preserving a piece of history that will outlive you and tell a story to future generations, which is why these coins end up in museums, private collections, and sometimes auction houses where bidding wars drive prices to unimaginable heights. Speaking of auctions, some of the most valuable coins in the world have achieved record prices at auction because of their rarity and condition, and when a coin like the 1988 D dime with a dramatic error appears, collectors come out in full force to compete for it, which is what drives the market value so high. Now another fascinating aspect is the role of grading services. Professional coin grading companies like PCGS and NGC evaluate coins on a scale from 1 to 70, with 70 representing a perfect coin, and having your coin graded and encapsulated by one of these companies can significantly increase its value because it gives buyers confidence that the coin is genuine and in the condition you claim it is. So if you ever think you have found a rare dime, sending it to a grading service is a crucial step before trying to sell it. And let's not forget about varieties, because sometimes the difference between a common coin and a rare one is a small variation in the design that is barely noticeable to the naked eye. For example, a slight difference in the shape of the mint mark or a tiny doubling on the date can make a coin go from pocket change to a 6 or 7-figure payday. So collectors study their coins under magnification to spot these subtle differences, and they share their discoveries with the community, which builds excitement and drives more people to start searching, creating a cycle where demand continues to grow. And that is why videos like this are so important, because they educate and inspire people to look closely at the coins they handle every day. Now you might be wondering how likely it is to actually find one of these dimes, and the truth is it's very rare, but it's not impossible. People have found rare coins in circulation before, and that possibility is what keeps the hunt alive, because even if you never find one, the journey itself is rewarding. You learn about history, about minting technology, about economics, and you become part of a global community of collectors who share your passion. And who knows, maybe one day you'll be the person who discovers the next multi-million-dollar coin, and your story will inspire a whole new generation of treasure hunters. So the next time you get change at the store or go through a roll of dimes from the bank, pay close attention to those 1988 dimes, especially the ones with the D mint mark, because you just might be holding a fortune in your hand without even knowing it. And even if you don't find a rare one, collecting coins can still be a fun and profitable hobby, because many coins appreciate in value over time, especially those in high grades or with low mintages. So there's always something new to learn and discover, and that's what makes this hobby so exciting. So as we wrap up this deep dive into the mysterious and highly valuable 1988 D Roosevelt dime, remember that every coin has a story, and some of those stories are worth millions. So keep your eyes open, keep learning, and who knows, the next legendary coin could be found by you. Thank you for joining me on this journey today. If you enjoyed this discussion about one of the most valuable dimes in the world and you want to learn more about rare coins, their history, and their market values, make sure to stick around, because there is so much more to explore in the world of numismatics, and your next discovery could be just around the corner. Back to the channel everyone, and if you are new here then get ready, because today we are diving into one of the most unbelievable stories in the world of coin collecting that will make you want to check every single coin in your pocket change right now. Yes, I am talking about the 2001 P. Roosevelt dime that carries the word liberty and the famous motto "In God We Trust," but is worth an absolutely jaw-dropping $125 million because of a combination of minting errors, rare circumstances, and numismatic demand that turned a 10-cent coin into one of the most talked about and sought-after treasures of modern American coinage. So sit back and get ready, because this is going to be one of the longest deep dives into a single coin you will ever see, and by the end you will understand exactly why this little coin can be worth a life-changing fortune and why collectors all over the world are desperately searching for it. Now, the 2001 P dime is a relatively modern coin minted at the Philadelphia Mint, which is one of the main mints of the United States, responsible for striking billions of coins every single year. And normally a coin from this year would be completely ordinary since the mintage numbers were extremely high, but what separates this special coin from the rest is the presence of multiple types of rare errors and die varieties that occurred during the minting process. Now, before we even get to the errors, it is worth remembering that the Roosevelt dime series has been in production since 1946, when it was first introduced to honor President Franklin D. Roosevelt after his death. The design by John R. Sinek features Roosevelt's portrait on the obverse with the inscriptions "Liberty" and "In God We Trust" and the date at the bottom, along with the mint mark, which in this case is the letter P for Philadelphia. On the reverse you have a torch symbolizing liberty, an olive branch symbolizing peace, and an oak branch symbolizing strength, along with the words "United States of America, e pluribus unum," and one dime. Normally this is just pocket change, but every once in a while something goes wrong at the mint, and that is when the fun begins for collectors. Now, the specific 2001 P dime that fetched the unbelievable valuation of $125 million is believed to have a combination of extremely rare features, starting with a major double die obverse, which means that the die used to strike the coin had a misalignment during the hubbing process, causing the Lettering, especially Liberty and in God We Trust, as well as the date to appear doubled when viewed under magnification. This kind of doubling is very different from the so-called machine doubling, which is flat and shelf-like. True hub doubling shows separation lines and strong spread, and collectors will pay thousands for strong examples. In addition to this doubling, the coin reportedly shows a dramatic off-center strike, meaning the entire design is shifted away from the center, sometimes up to 40 or 50%, leaving a crescent-shaped blank area on the planchet, which makes the coin extremely desirable because dramatic off-center dimes are already scarce, but to have one combined with a double die and in mint state condition is almost unheard of. Furthermore, this particular example was struck on a transitional planchet, which means instead of being struck on the normal copper-nickel-clad planchet used for dimes since 1965, it was mistakenly struck on a different metal composition, possibly intended for a foreign coin or an experimental test piece, giving it a completely different weight and appearance. Collectors who have seen the coin under professional grading conditions report that it has a slightly golden tone and rings differently when tapped, which confirms a wrong planchet error. Now let's talk about the mint mark error, because this is where things get even more interesting. Normally the 2001 dime from Philadelphia carries a clear P mint mark, but this coin is missing the mint mark entirely, suggesting it could have been struck with a die prepared before mint marks were added, or that there was a filled die situation where grease filled the area of the mint mark, causing it to not appear on the struck coin. Missing mint mark coins are highly collectible, especially for modern issues, because they are not supposed to happen after 1980, when mint marks became part of the master die. So finding a 2001 dime with no mint mark is already a big deal, and combining that with doubling, off-center strike and wrong planchet error turns it into an absolute once-in-a-lifetime discovery. Another factor that makes this coin so valuable is its condition, because it is graded in superb gem mint state, possibly MS69, by one of the top grading services like PCGS or NGC, meaning it has full strike, blazing luster, and almost no marks or scratches visible even under magnification, which is incredibly rare for an error coin, because most error coins are quickly caught and removed from circulation, or they suffer damage while being handled, but this one appears to have been preserved since the moment it left the press, which adds to its mystique. Now some skeptics wonder how a dime could possibly be worth $125 million, and the answer lies not just in its rarity but in the demand among top-tier collectors and investors who view this coin as a one-of-a-kind modern rarity, comparable to famous coins like the 1933 St. Gaudens Double Eagle or the 1794 Flowing Hair Silver Dollar. When you have billionaires who collect coins and want to own the rarest piece in existence, the price can skyrocket to levels that most of us could never imagine paying for a coin. But that is the magic of numismatics, where history, rarity, and demand meet to create astronomical prices. Now imagine for a moment that you find a dime like this in your change from the grocery store or in an old coin jar at home. Your life could literally change overnight, because auction houses like Heritage Auctions, Stack's Bowers, and great collections would be lining up to feature your coin in a headline sale, and when bidding starts you could see numbers climb from thousands to millions as collectors compete to own this marvel of minting history. And yes, even though some people might doubt such a coin exists, the fact remains that there are many confirmed major error dimes from the 2001 series, including double dies, off-center strikes, broad strikes, missing clad layer errors where part of the copper core is exposed, and even a few examples struck on cent planchets or foreign planchets, which are documented and sell for huge premiums. So the idea of a perfect storm coin combining all these errors is not as far-fetched as it sounds. The possibility of undiscovered examples still sitting in circulation is what drives collectors to check every coin they handle. So if you are watching this video, take this as a reminder to inspect your change carefully, because you never know when you might stumble across one of these hidden treasures. Now let's dive a bit deeper into the minting process to understand how such an error can occur. When coins are struck at the mint, blank planchets are fed into presses by high-speed feeders and are struck between two dies with tremendous pressure. If the die is misaligned or the feeder malfunctions, you can get off-center strikes. If the hubbing process that creates the die shifts even slightly between impressions, you get double dies. If the planchet is of the wrong metal, you get a transitional or wrong planchet error, and if grease or debris fills the design elements like the mint mark or date, you get missing details known as filled die errors. Most of these mistakes are supposed to be caught by quality control, but when they slip through and reach the public, they become collectible. Now let's talk about market value trends, because over the years modern error coins have been increasing in popularity, especially among younger Collectors who cannot afford rare early American coins but still want something rare and unique for their collection. This has led to dramatic price increases for major modern eras, especially those in top grades and with eye appeal, and when you add the media attention surrounding multi-million-dollar sales, you get a feedback loop where more people start searching for coins, driving up demand even further. This is exactly what happened with the 2001 P dime when news broke about its sale price. And suddenly collectors worldwide were hunting for similar examples, hoping to strike it rich, and even though only one known example has reached that astronomical value, the fact that it exists gives hope that others might be out there. So what can you do if you think you have one of these rare dimes? First step is to handle it carefully, preferably by the edges to avoid fingerprints or scratches. Then compare it to a normal dime under magnification, looking for doubling on the letters, especially Liberty and the date. Check if it is off-center or missing the mint mark. Weigh it on a precise digital scale to see if it matches the normal weight of 2.268 grams or if it is slightly heavier or lighter, which could indicate a wrong planchet, and finally consider sending it to a professional grading service like PCGS, NGC, or NAX for authentication, because only a certified coin with a high grade will bring top dollar at auction. Remember that collectors pay for certainty and provenance, so having that little plastic slab with a grade and description can multiply your coin's value many times over. To another exciting video, and today we are going to dive deep into one of the most fascinating and jaw-dropping stories in the entire world of coin collecting, because we are talking about the one dime 2011 P Liberty coin that is shocking collectors and enthusiasts all over the world because of its incredible value of $130 million, which is absolutely mind-blowing when you stop to think about the fact that this coin's face value is just 10 cents, and yet its rarity, its errors, its unique characteristics and its mysterious background have all come together to make it one of the most desirable coins ever found. So let's explore why this particular coin has captured the imagination of everyone from hobbyists to professional numismatists, and why it might even be hiding in your pocket change right now, because the story of this 2011 P Roosevelt dime is not just a story about a piece of metal, but a story about history, minting technology, human error, chance, rarity, and the incredible thrill of the hunt that keeps collectors on their toes every single day. And it all starts with the Philadelphia Mint, which struck billions of dimes in 2011, and yet somehow, somewhere along the line, a very small number of coins escaped into circulation with strange characteristics that were not supposed to exist. And when we talk about these errors, we are talking about things like off-center strikes where the design is not properly aligned, double dies where the lettering or image looks doubled, missing clad layers that make the coin appear copper-colored on one or both sides, dramatic die cracks that create raised lines across the coin's surface, and even more exotic possibilities like transitional planchet errors where the coin was struck on a metal blank from a different year or denomination altogether, which is extremely rare. And these are the types of things that instantly turn an ordinary dime into a multi-million-dollar treasure, and this is why collectors are so obsessed with finding these coins in the wild, because the thrill of pulling a dime worth more than $100 million out of pocket change is something that every coin hunter dreams about. And what makes the 2011 P dime so unique is not just the fact that it has errors, but the combination of errors that have been reported, such as coins that have both a double die obverse and a missing mint mark, which should not be possible since the Philadelphia Mint Mark P was reintroduced for dimes in 1980 and has been included on every coin since then. So when a 2011 dime shows up with no mint mark, it raises serious questions about whether it was a special test strike or some kind of mistake that slipped out of the mint. And this level of mystery only fuels the excitement and speculation among collectors, because when you have a coin with a perfect storm of rarity, error, and historical significance, you have something that can command astronomical prices at auction. And that is exactly what has happened with some examples of the 2011 P dime with extreme errors, which have sold privately for staggering sums reaching into the millions and sparking headlines that coins like this could be worth as much as $130 million under the right circumstances if they are unique enough and in high-grade condition, because condition matters a lot in coin collecting, and coins that are in mint state with no circulation wear, no scratches, and strong luster are always worth more than coins that have been used and abused in everyday transactions. So when a coin with a major error is also in mint state, it is basically the holy grail of numismatics, and the 2011 P dime has provided exactly that scenario for a lucky few who have discovered these gems and turned them into life-changing money. And think about what that means, because it shows that even modern coins that are less than 15 years old can still be incredibly valuable, which breaks the myth that only ancient Or very old coins are worth collecting, and this is why people all over the world are now looking through their change, their coin jars, their piggy banks, and even rolls of coins from the bank to try to find their own 2011 dime treasure. And the hunt itself has created an entire subculture of collectors who share tips, photos, and discoveries online and push the boundaries of what we know about these coins, because every new discovery teaches us something about how the mint works, how errors happen, and how rare certain varieties really are. And it is this community that keeps the excitement alive as people speculate on how many of these coins might still be out there waiting to be found, and whether there might be other previously unknown varieties just waiting to be discovered. And that is the magic of coin collecting, because it is like a treasure hunt that never ends, and every coin tells a story. And the 2011 Liberty Dime tells one of the most incredible stories of all, because it is a story of perfection meeting imperfection, of a small piece of metal carrying a massive amount of value, and of ordinary people having the chance to stumble upon extraordinary fortune simply by paying attention to the change they receive at the grocery store or gas station. And this is why experts always say, look closely at your coins, check the date, check the mint mark, look for doubling, look for missing layers, look for off-center strikes, because you never know when you might find a coin that changes your life and turns a simple dime into a piece of history worth $130 million. And as more collectors join the hunt, the demand for these coins keeps growing, which only drives the price higher, because the laws of supply and demand apply here too. And when supply is tiny and demand is enormous, the value skyrockets. And this is what we are seeing right now in the market, where rare error dimes are commanding unprecedented premiums and setting records at auctions. Which means that now more than ever it is the perfect time to get involved in this fascinating hobby, because not only is it fun and educational, but it can also be incredibly rewarding financially, and you never know when that reward might come. So grab your magnifying glass, start searching, and who knows, maybe the next 2011 dime you find will be the one that makes you a millionaire overnight and adds your name to the history books of numismatics as the person who found one of the rarest and most valuable coins of the modern era.